Sometimes, the question has been asked to me from a very good friend of mine, Deanne Schulman, who was the first woman smoke jumper. One of the topics we would sometimes go into deep discussion on, did the Forest Service change who we are, or did we change the Forest Service? And I think the answer is both. I think that the Forest Service made us who we were, because at the time we came in, when women were first coming in, it was more direct, but there were defining moments as far as the fire suppression. There were times where you could hear that freight train coming, and then your superintendent would be, just line out and let's move it. And you could just tell in their voice they only used a few words, where it would be just a few words used, but you knew everybody needed to get together and get going and get out of there. And just hearing that freight train coming through the crowns of the trees, and it's like, are we going to make it? And we always did. I never had a deployment, never came close to a deployment, but there were times where it's like your hair stands on the back of your neck, and it was mostly when I was working for other people that had occurred, and or if panic was setting in and how that was handled. And one time I was on a fire where it was that freight train sound that you have to be there, and then someone starts screaming and they have to be hit. Hit hard in order to be, because it hits you right in the gut when that panic spreads. And but the crew bosses at that time had the wherewithal that they had to take care of it. And there was some physical hitting to get them to calm down. And I don't know if that would be done nowadays. But I have to say that you have to get everybody to follow orders and follow direction and stay calm. And I have to say that those early leaders in my life really showed me how they led and kept everybody calm when we were moving out quickly. They hardly used any words to do it. It was more of just, they stated what needed to happen, they didn't explain why, and you just started moving and trotting, running, but you made it out. And but everybody stayed calm and they followed. You didn't see people running in different directions. So, are those defining moments in my career? I'm not sure. I think everything just loads up in your hard drive, and all those experiences, whether they're close calls or whatever, I think it's just, you just take that in, and so you recognize it. And I remember a story from, in fact, it was Ken Van Buskirk. He was on a slash burn. I think it was in 1990 on the Olympic. He was still there, and an air tanker's coming in, because they had a little 5-acre fire. A little prop plane had crashed on the side of the hill, so they were taking care of it. So they bring in an air tanker to try to keep the fire from spreading. And at that point he was the only one down the hill scouting out the fire, and he had said, he told everybody, his crew was up on the landing at the time, and he told everybody to pull back instead of taking pictures. And he would normally not do that, but he wanted everybody. He wanted them far away. He wanted them down the road. And there was something with the call sign of the air tanker that he couldn't figure out why he was telling everybody to pull back, but everybody pulled back. Well, that air tanker crashed into the side of the hill. The fireball went over his head. Parts and pieces fell within like 50 feet of the closest crew member. And he tells this story about what was it that made him decide to pull everybody back. And I think it was his hard drive, because he had worked with that air tanker on the Yellowstone fires, and that the air tanker was clipping treetops. And so he had to think about it years later and figure out why he pulled people back. But it was like your hard drive is loaded, and it's not conscious, it's in your subconscious, and you just go, okay, I've had something similar, so we need to take action but keep everybody safe. And I think that's maybe what we're lacking now. I'm not sure if things are different now or not, but he kept everybody safe. But so all those experiences lead up to who you are as a leader, and why you make the decisions that you make. So and I think he hit the nail on the head, but he couldn't pinpoint why he made that call. And I think that we all have done that in the past while we were out there. Something just didn't seem right. You can't put your finger on it. Maybe you're starting to violate some of the 10, too many of the, if you start violating those, you can't compromise on that. You have to stay true to those. So So I think that all those moments that I've had were defining moments for me, and I didn't take any of them lightly.